Integers lesson 1.6. This lesson is very easy. You only have to follow the rules of smiley faces. If you have two signs that are the same, the answer will be a positive answer. You just need to multiply normally. If you have two signs that are the same, of course it's going to be a positive answer, whether they are both negative or positive. Once there is a different sign, then the answer will be negative. And you actually, for all of them, you keep on multiplying same as usual. You have to just pay attention for the sign. For example, here there's a question. While playing a board game, unlucky Lawrence had to move back two spaces backward for 4 turns in a row. So you have to repeat that times 4 times. This dot is multiplication, but we don't write times in, we don't really write it as before. We just use either a dot, or we might write it as following: -2 times 4, like this. Or it can be written as this, or as this. All of them means I have to multiply the numbers. So how can I find the answer? Just multiply 2 times 4 normally, it's 8. Then just take care of the signs. This is negative, this is positive. Different signs, the answer will be negative answer. That's it. Let's do it here. So again, you only multiply as normal. Just pay attention for the signs. Here, 6 times 2, it's 12. Negative with negative, the answer will be positive. That's it. 4 times 8, it's 32. Negative with positive, the answer will be negative. That's it. 5 times 2, it's 10. Negative with positive, the answer will be negative. Again, this means times. 5 times 7 is 35. Negative with positive is negative. 1 times 24 is 24. Negative with negative is positive. To multiply 3 numbers, multiply 2 together, and then the answer of it multiplied with the third one. 5 times 9 is 45. Negative with positive, it's gonna be negative. Then this answer times -2, okay? Now, let's do it. 45 times 2, it's 90. Negative with negative is positive. That's it. This is the final answer. Let's see the question that is here. A football team lost the same number of yards on each of the 3 consecutive plays. How much did they lose? 6 yards each game. I can do the following. I can either say -6, -6, -6. I need to combine them all and then do it as an addition problem. Let's do it. So I will start with 2 numbers. Negative with positive is negative. The 6 is negative, the other 6 is negative. Same signs add, it's 12 negative. And then just add it to -6. Write that down. Positive with negative is negative. -6 with -12, same signs add. It's gonna be 20. No, it's gonna be 18, sorry. Negative, same signs, put the answer of the greater number down. I can do it as this, or I can use multiplication, which is easier. So what's happening for 3 games? The 3 should be positive because you're talking about plays, and this is just the number of games. You cannot play negative number of games. Times how many times? What did they lose each game? They lost 6. So just solve it. 3 times 6 is 18. Positive with negative is negative. This is much easier. So what is the total change? You don't need to add them. You have to think. They don't want you to add them. No. You either add the -6 3 times, or you just multiply 3 times -6. Which of these expressions have the same product as -6 times 7? -6 times 7 is 6 times 7 is 42. Positive with negative is negative. Let's see which one have the same answer. 3 times 4 is basically also 42. 14. Positive with negative is negative, so I can select this. 16 times 3, if you multiply 16 times 3, 3 times 6 is 18. I should stop here because it should be 42. But let's continue. 3 and 1 is 40, and 48. No. 6 times 7 is 42, but negative with negative, it's going to be positive 42. Here it's negative 48. Positive 42 is not the same as negative 42. 7 times 6 is 42. One of them negative, then it's negative. That's correct. 14 times 3 is 42 as well, but one of them is negative, then also that's correct. So we only have 3 answers correct. Explain why the product of two negative numbers is not negative. So again, if you want to use the smiley faces, negative times negative is positive. One more thing, negative times negative, like 1 times 1 is 1. Negative times negative of 1, what is it? It's the same as you are saying I want the opposite of negative 1. What's the opposite of negative 1? It's positive 1. That's why it should be positive. Got it? That's it. So you can write that down as a long explanation. Let's take these questions here. Again, these questions are all in the book, pages 44, 45, 46, something. So all of them in these pages. Let's do this one. So they're saying that Alex is working to simplify this thing. What is the product? Let's do it. So again, to multiply 3 numbers, you multiply each 2 together. 8 times 5, it's 40. Negative with positive is negative. 40 times 2 is, now the 40 times 2 is 80. Negative with positive is negative. So the answer is negative 80. Suppose Alex found the opposite of the correct answer. What's the opposite of negative 80? Positive 80. So suppose he found it as positive 80. Describe an error he could have made that resulted in that product. So we can say that maybe he thought that a negative times a positive will give me a positive answer, which is wrong. Or maybe he thought that the 5 is negative, so he did negative 5 times negative 8 is positive 40. Then positive 40 times 2 is 80 positive. Maybe that's one mistake. Or maybe he thought that 5 times negative 8 will give me positive 40, which is wrong. Just assume any possible incorrect answer. But you have to write it nicely with a full explanation. What is the product? No, is the product the same when you multiply 22 times 5 and multiplying negative 5 times 22? Yes, because remember when we used to study in grade 3, 4, we used to say 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. Because multiplication is a cumulative property. You can change the order of multiplication, that's fine. So that's the exact reason. Multiplication has a cumulative property. What does cumulative property means? Means you can change the order of multiplication. يعني if you are multiplying 2 times 3, it's the same as 3 times 2. Same thing here, even if you have negative numbers. 22 times negative 5 is same as negative 5 times 22. If you want, you can solve it to check. 22 times 5 is 110. I'm not sure. Yep, it is 110 negative. You're gonna multiply 22 times 5. It's 110. Negative with positive is negative. Same here. So it's exactly the same. That's all because of the cumulative property, which means you can change the order of multiplication. That's fine. You can switch it. It's okay. But that's not fine for addition or subtraction, because in subtraction 2 minus 5 is not the same as 5 minus 2. 2 minus 5, 5 is negative, 2 is positive, and then you have different signs. Subtract 3, but you take the sign of the 5, which is negative here. If you do the same steps here, the 5 is positive. So it's going to be 3, but the sign of the 5 is positive. So it's different. You can change the order in multiplication, but you cannot change the order in subtraction or addition. It's not the same. Subtraction mainly. طيب. Annie makes withdraws. Withdraws means you are taking from the bank. So it's a negative keyword. And deposit means you are putting into your bank. So it's a positive keyword. Please, it's really good idea to keep these keywords in mind, because we know that there's a lot of keywords that are used and we know them, but withdraws and deposit, maybe it's your first time knowing them, but we said it in class. What integer represents the change in the amount in her account if she withdraw 12 once each day for 4 days? So withdraw 12 and take away 12 for 4 days, and you have to multiply them, which is gonna give me 12 times 4 is 48. Positive times negative is negative. Now then they're asking what integer represents the change in her amount if she deposits 12 once for 4 days. Deposit 12 and you are adding 12 to your account 4 times 4 days. Again 48, but since both of them are positive, the answer will be positive, which makes sense. Her account will be in withdraw. Her account will show that she took away 48, and in deposit her account will show she put 48 amount of dollars. Explain the difference in the integer for withdraw and the integer for deposit. Withdraw integers are negative integers because you're taking money from the bank. But this is for withdraw. Now for the deposit, they have positive integers because you are putting money in your bank account. That's it. That's the exact difference. One of them is negative, which is the withdrawal. One of them is represents positive values. That's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.